Hey everybody, today is April 25th, 2025, and today we're going to talk about the price of Bitcoin and where I see the price of Bitcoin going to in the month of May. Before we begin, please read the disclaimer and you can pause the video as you read it. Okay, so where we left off last time was around here. And basically I said that we are trending the 200-day moving average, right? And I said that it's very important that we hold this level, because if we don't hold this level, we're probably going to go down lower, right? And I also said that the reason why we're having trouble is because we held this 95,000, 90K support level over here, right? And so when we broke this level, it just plunged really hard, right? And historically, the 200-day is a very important long-term moving average, so it was very important to hold it, right? And sorry, we were right over here, right? And we did stay above it for a while, but we just lost it, right? And what happened was in April, President Trump announced that he was doing reciprocal tariffs on every country, pretty much, and especially on China, right? So he has since, and that basically led to a huge risk-offs, right? So I did another video about the stock market. You can go watch it. But yeah, the stock market got hit hard, right? It also got rejected on the 200-day, and then it just plunged after Trump announced the reciprocal tariffs, right? Now, surprisingly, like Bitcoin actually like held up pretty well. It didn't plunge as much as expected, so this is actually a positive sign. But yeah, so after Trump, he actually essentially announced a pause, a 98-day pause on most countries, but he's still negotiating with China, right? And so that's still going on, but the market took that positively, and we basically have since recovered a lot of the losses that we saw earlier this month, right? And so going back to Bitcoin, Bitcoin has also recovered, and now it's having this nice breakout. And this is really great because we stayed most of this month below the 200-day, which is really bad, right? This is very bearish. We generally don't want to stay. And here's the reason, right? Because I've been saying multiple times in previous videos that last year we spent the majority of last year 8 months consolidating, right, in this sort of like 60 to 70,000 range, right? And so this ended up building a strong base of support to break off of, right? So we were able to push up high. That's why we hit 100,000 last year, right? We basically absorbed all the bearish supply and just pushed up higher. So we don't want to see, I've said this multiple times, when we come down here, we don't want to see us lose the 200-day. Because if we lose the 200 days, the probability of breaking down and re-entering this range is higher, right? And that's bearish because we already spent all this time defending this level. So we come down here again, that's actually bearish, and I don't want to see that, right? So thankfully, the bull stepped in and they basically absorbed all the supply, right? Especially here with the tariff sell-off. And so that was very bullish. Look at these big green candles, right? And now we're having a nice breakout above the 200-day moving average over here, and this is very crucial, right? Because we've essentially reclaimed the 200-day. And look at this, like we're up like 7 days. What is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 candles in a row. So this is very good, nice, strong volume here, right? Not like little candles, but large volume candles. So this shows conviction that the bulls are pushing the price higher, and maybe some bears who are trying to short got squeezed, right? Which is always great, right? But now we're at our next level, which is here 95,000, and you know this is really strong resistance because again, so we spent the better part of 3 months basically defending 95,000, and then we broke below and we plunged all the way down to 80, right? And so I think this might actually be strong resistance around here. So my prediction for this next month is that we're going to have strong resistance. We're probably going to chop sideways for a while, but we're definitely going to have some trouble if we hit 100,000, right? Because again, we not only do we have this resistance that we lost, I'm sorry, the support level that we lost, which is now resistance, right? But we also have resistance up here, which we weren't able to hold. We tried 2 times to break above, right here and here, right? So December and January, and we failed. We got rejected. So this Fibonacci level around just above 100,000 is going to be strong resistance. So I think that we're probably going to spend some time next month around this level, kind of like chopping around sideways, trying to build a breakthrough resistance, right? So you know the bulls are going to have to step in and try to, because the bears are going to try to short this down and retest the 200-day, right? Because we spent so much time below, right? And so the bulls are going to have to step in and basically absorb supply by buying, and that'll take off the sell pressure and then push up higher in going into the year, right? Start going into the summer. And that was sort of like my prediction. If you follow me on social media on X, I'm EddieLux_. I've been saying that Q2 is the year that we break out and go up to like 150,000. I still think we're on track on that, especially in the latter part of Q2, right? If we do follow this pattern, we could see a huge impulse move up sometime in June, right, to like 150,000, which is, you know, that. Let me see. Oops. Yeah, so 150,000 over here, right? 155, that's like the next Fibonacci resistance level, right? If you look at this chart, these Fibonacci lines have been doing a pretty good job predicting like different support and resistance level, and I draw them from the previous high, cycle high and lows, right? And so the next, so you see how we kind of found resistance around here, and then we have the next level was resistance, right? So the next level should be around here, 150 to 155, right? Sometime this summer or maybe like early fall, we might hit that 150 level. So that's sort of like my prediction based on what I've seen for the price action. So anyway, so yeah, that's my prediction for the month of May for the technicals, right? And let me see if there's anything interesting on the chart. Let me get a cleaner chart. Yeah, so the monthly looks really good. We're sort of reset the oscillators. We went overbought a bit, but now we're reset. We're now we're not like at 50, but for the most part, this is sort of resetting for a nice move higher to end the cycle, right? Which, if you follow four-year cycle theory, it should be sometime in Q4, right? Same with the 4-week, right? The 4-week oscillator has come down, and usually in a bull market, you want to buy when it comes down to the 50, right? In a bullish trend, the oscillators tend to move around 50 to 100, right? Or sorry, 50, yeah, 50 to 100, right? And usually when it gets overbought above 70, that's usually a good time to sell, a good time to buy when it dips below 50, right? So around here, I think I made a post about this on X, but yeah, you can go check that out. But yeah, we also, another thing crucially is that we actually touched these 50-week moving average, right? And usually, this is very important because usually the start of the bear market is when we break below. So this is what happened last time, right, and it plunged. So the fact that we're holding and we're bouncing so strongly off the 50-week is very bullish, right? So overall, I'm bullish on this trend. And again, if Trump is able to negotiate a deal with China, which is really the last remaining like partner we have to negotiate with, right? That'd be very bullish. And so, but yeah, let's look at some of the data, right? So inflation data. Inflation has been going down, which is good. Like, this is a little worrying because in Q4 of last year, we saw inflation head up, right? And so it seems like it's peaked for now at 3 in January. So if we continue down lower, and the Fed's target rate is 2%, right? So that's going to increase the chances. Part of the reason why the market plunged so much starting this year, before the tariff wars exacerbated the plunge, right? Why did we see like a plunge starting in like February all the way down right to March? It's because the probability of rate cuts started out a lot higher for multiple cuts, and now the Fed, so the market was sort of like pricing in like 2 or 3 cuts, right? Just fewer cuts, right? As the recession risk rose. And now that the inflation rate is coming down, it's showing a clear trend. Now the probability of the Fed cutting is gone up a lot higher. That, and also there's a lot of pressure by the president, and he's not supposed to do this because the Fed's supposed to be independent from the executive branch. But yeah, there's a lot of pressure from Trump to get Jerome to cut rates. So now the probability of more cut rates, and also the probability of having rates cut in the next meeting, has just gone up. So this is also what's leading the market. The stock, this is the S&P 500, represented by the ETF SPY, is going up, right? So if this is true, and especially if Trump is able to negotiate a tariff deal with China, this is gonna give more momentum to push up higher for risk on assets. But yeah, it's been a very volatile month. I mean, look at the VIX, right? We haven't seen a VIX this high since basically the Japanese yen trade unwinding carry Japanese yen carry unwinding, something like that, right? Yeah, late August, right? And definitely since COVID, right? So let me just look at this. It's just insane, right? But it is coming down now, so this is good for risk on assets like Bitcoin, of course, and stocks. But yes, moving on, we have some headwinds I want to talk about, right? I've been saying this for multiple videos, that there is still a recession risk, and that has been exacerbated by what Trump has done with the tariff wars, right? And people are saying that we might have a recession this year. My prediction, if you watch my previous videos, was that we would probably get a recession sometime in 2026, which would coincide with the 4-year cycle theory that the bear market in Bitcoin would happen in 2026, right? And 2025 would be a great bullish year. But it does seem like this might happen a little bit sooner if Trump is not able to negotiate a deal, and then that might eat into profits of companies, right? If China, which is a major manufacturing hub for many US publicly traded companies like Apple, right? Apple, they manufacture a lot of phones. But on the positive side, there's been some exemptions, like the Trump administration exempted certain electronics, right? And it seems like now China is starting to, give in a little bit, and they might do some exemptions. So it seems like a tit for tat sort of thing, right? But for now, we're gonna have to wait and see when they're going to finalize a deal. But I am optimistic that a deal can be made by the end of this year. A lot of people are as optimistic. People think it's going to drag on for years, but I think that they can get a deal done. But still, it's still important to look at potential headwinds, right? We don't want to be ultra bullish. What are some risks, right? So the risk is that we could still get a recession, right? This is a 10 to 2-year yield curve, right? It's uninverting, right? It's been uninverted for a while now, right? I've been talking about this for multiple videos. And usually this is followed by recession. So this is a recession risk that, it always followed by recession, right? Historically, lasting all the way back to the 1980s, right? Same with the Fed funds rate, right? Whenever the Fed starts to cut rates, it's usually followed by recession, right? So again, just something to think about. Not saying there's going to be a recession now, but there likely will be a recession, like based on the data that we've seen, based on the history. Maybe sometime later this year or next year, right? But yeah, let's go on to some of the charts that help us see where we are in the cycle, right? So this is the 2-year multiplier, and I really like this tool because it's just very simple, right? Generally, and we've been using this chart, following this chart since we were below the green line. If you've been watching my videos since 2023, you'll see that I've been talking about this chart since it was below the green line. And usually when it's below the green line, it's a good time to buy. When it's above this orange red line, it's usually a good time to sell, right? Of course, we didn't touch it. We didn't cross above it the last cycle. So this cycle, we might not even touch this orange line. But if we get close enough to the top, I mean, that's almost $300,000, right? Personally, I think we're going to probably end the cycle around somewhere just below 200,000, like 180 to 200,000. But that's just me, right? I mean, this could change as it develops going forward. But for now, everything in this chart is showing that we're still sort of like in the mid cycle, right? We're in between the lines in a bullish posture, higher highs, higher lows. So there's nothing on this chart to suggest that we're in a bear market, we're heading toward a bear market, right? We are just pushing up higher, and look at all this ceiling. Like the ceiling is a lot higher. So if we do follow some similar pattern as the life cycle, we should get higher above. So this ceiling is 289. So if we think about diminishing returns every cycle, which it seems like there is, we might not even get close enough to touch 289, but just getting close enough, that's still like, let's see, in the 200,000 range, right? Which is very possible. But again, by the end of the year, I think it's more realistic somewhere just below 200,000. But that's just me. And that might change again, going based on how the price action develops going forward, right? Price cycle top indicator, which is my personal favorite top indicator, right? When you see the orange line cross above the green line, that's generally a sell signal, right? And you see the dotted line, right? It's been pretty accurate. Not 100% accurate, of course, right? We did top in November. This is saying that it would top sometime in April of 2021, but it was close enough in price, right? And this is still, again, in a bullish posture, just like the 2-year multiplier, right? Still moving in a bullish posture, right? And especially here, right? If you look closely, we did come down below the orange line, which is generally bearish, but we sort of like poked our head above, so we've defended this level, right? You see how it's poked its head above, the price above. So now we're moving up above again, and as long as we're in between the orange and green line, and these lines are headed up, then that's generally bullish, right? And usually before the orange line crosses above the green line to signal a sell, the price has to move above the green line. And the green line is at 155,000. That means this is predicting that the price will move at least above 155,000, which coincides with my price target of 150 to 200,000, right? Closer, probably somewhere between 180, in my opinion. Again, I could be wrong about this, but this chart is usually pretty accurate. So, so this chart is very bullish as well as the 2-year multiplier. Now the final chart we're going to look at is the forecast tool, which basically combines all of these top and bottom indicators into one chart. So it's very easy to see. Again, we're in the middle of all of these things, right? When it touches the top band, like the red band, that's usually a sell signal. When it touches the bottom band, the yellow and green bands, that's usually a buy signal, right? So we're in between higher lows, higher highs in the bullish posture. We look very similar to where we were in like late 2020, right? Or in 2017, right? Which again, every 4 years, 2017, 2021, 2025, right? Tend to seem to have like that parabolic move, right? Higher. So perhaps this year is a little different. Maybe our parabolic move is going to happen in the second half of this year, right? Trick everybody into a bear trap in the first half that the cycle's over or something. But yeah, we'll see how this develops going forward. But like all of these charts are showing that everything looks very bullish, right? We're nowhere near the top. We're nowhere near overbought, right? We're sort of like in the middle, right? And but at the same time, we still have a recession risk with the yield curve inverting, with the Fed potentially going to cut rates again, and we still want to see inflation come down, right? But in my opinion, I'm feeling optimistic, right? Again, just going back to the chart, you can see the chart, right? Where even right as I'm speaking right now, the price of Bitcoin up 7 days in a row and still going. Look at these volume candles, right? Very, very strong. So I'm very optimistic. The important thing in the short term is that we reclaim the 200-day. And now the next goal, in my prediction for the month of May, is that we're probably going to spend some time around 95 to 100,000. And we're going to, because there's two reasons, right? First, we need to reclaim this support level that we lost, right? Look how much we plunged, right? We've reclaimed the 200-day so far, but we need to reclaim 95,000, which is going to be around here, right? And the second thing is that we're going to have massive resistance around 100,000, which is this Fibonacci resistance that we got rejected twice, once in December and the second time in January, right? Or January, February, right? So again, I think we're going to spend the most of May chopping sideways here. But if the bulls can do their job and they can absorb the supply of the sell orders, and I can actually see the bears trying to push it down one more time to retest the 200-day moving average. But if the bulls are able to step in and defend that level, I think we might see a big move to all-time highs either by the end of May or sometime in June. And that would coincide with my prediction that Q4 will be the year that we hit new all-time highs heading towards 150. And that would be a great way to end the first half of this year if we were able to execute on that. But for now, we got to take it one day at a time, and I'll definitely update you guys on the next video in the end of May to see where I think the month of June will be headed towards. So thank you again for watching this video. If you found it helpful, useful, and informative, please like this video, leave a comment below, and subscribe for updates. I appreciate all your support. Thank you again, and have a great day.